Welcome everyone, and thanks for joining us for today's webinar. I'm Mike Marchanda, the Marketing Manager at Prescient Digital Media. Today's webinar is called How to Undertake an Intranet Redesign, presented by Toby Ward, our President and CEO. As usual, today's webinar will be about an hour long, but we'll leave a few minutes at the end to answer any of your questions. If you do have questions during the webinar, feel free to ask them using the chat tool in the control panel on the right side of your screen. Also, we're recording the webinar, and both slides and the recording will be made available on our site in the next few days. Welcome, Toby.
Thank you so much, Mike. Welcome, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, regardless of where on the planet you are tuning in today. For the latest in our monthly webinar series, today's webinar, How to Undertake an Intranet Redesign, or, briefly put, as I like to put it, I like to be brief on my slides. Intranet redesign. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to slow down here just a little bit because it's just turning 9:30 as we speak. 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern Time. And we know there's some people staying up late in Asia and Europe to tune in today. Thank you so much. We always appreciate it. Usually on these webinars we have between 100 and 300 organizations, depending on the subject and how much we promote the event. We didn't do a lot of promoting of this event this time, but when it's social, if it's anything to do with social or SharePoint, we tend to get a lot of attendees. So today's focus is Intranet redesign. We're going to talk firstly about the business case for a redesign, because a lot of you need to make the case for a redesign. You're not too thrilled with the Intranet today, usually for good reason. And you need to go upstairs to the senior management and say, hey, guys, come on, we need to spend some money on this paltry intranet of ours. We'll talk about the importance of planning and design. And then at the very end, for the last 10 to 15 minutes, we'll open up for question and answers. We usually stay 10 or 15, sometimes even 20 minutes past the hour, or the bottom of the hour in this case, to field any of your questions. Usually we get lots, so don't be shy, but I'm not going to take questions during the actual presentation themselves. Twitter, hashtag Intranet2. My handle is Toby Ward. Mike and the company, we tweet from Intranet2 as well, both the hashtag and the handle. So we love to see your tweets. I usually get on and not tweet during the webinar, but afterwards I will check out the tweets, and I like to retweet a few of the good ones, so make them good and I shall retweet you. Just a couple of quick words for those of you who don't know much about Prescient Digital Media, and forgive me for those that have seen our webinars and know all about us and know all of the repetitive slides that we sometimes use, although at least 60% of this webinar deck is brand new, you would have never seen before. But usually up to half or more of our audience on any given webinar is brand new. So we have to give a little bit of a rundown so you know exactly who we are. We've been around for 12 years. We are world-leading experts on intranets. We've worked with almost 200 intranet clients, and some of them are quite big and well-known, as some of you are here on the webinar today, and some of our clients are joining us today here on the webinar. We thank you for joining. We thank you for your business. We'd love to help you out again. Our intranet methodology represented here, built and tweaked and refined over years, and again, nearly 200 of intranets worth of experience, is rooted in assessment and planning, doing that before worrying about the technology or even selecting the technology. However, having said that, most companies are invested in SharePoint or WebSphere or Oracle or some CMS or some form of platform that we are then required to work with, which is more often the case. But we like to say, don't put the cart before the horse, if possible. Find out your needs in assessment, undertake your plans and designs in planning, and then choose your technology or find out how best to optimize or implement your technology before worrying about that implementation. And then, of course, we represent it as an iterative cycle, because the intranet never rests, does it? It constantly is evolving and changing, and so you can never look at it as just a start and stop project, but an ongoing process. Social intranets. We were the first to formally define this in the Social Intranet Whitepaper. You can go check that out. It's free. It's a free download on the PrescientDigital.com website. And for more on this subject matter of intranet redesign and design, again, go to the website. Any of the subject matters that we talk about, some of the case studies that we refer to, lots of articles, and be sure to subscribe to the newsletter because you get articles that way, notifications about future webinars, and our annual conference, the Intranet Global Forum, in conjunction with the International Association of Business Communicators, IABC, the Intranet Global Forum Conference in New York City, October 24th and 25th. We're going to be doing a spring version in San Francisco as well. More to come on that. But let's get to the webinar. The business case, building the business case for intranet redesign. How many people here have a great intranet today? I'm not seeing anyone raise their hands. Oh, someone just raised their hand. Good for you. Excellent. You're on this webinar just to make it even better, I can tell. My spidey senses are tingling. This, I suggest, may be the case. But most of you do not have a great intranet. In fact, a lot of you may have a piss-poor intranet. Hence your participation on this webinar and your subscription to our newsletter and your downloads of our white papers, for which we are thankful. Now we are going to reward you and tell you exactly how to go about doing this intranet redesign. Well, firstly, the business case is more than just ROI. In fact, very few companies even measure the ROI of their intranet. According to our study, about 6% do an in-depth, regular measurement of the return on investment value of their intranet. And the need for it is decreasing, quite frankly, because it's becoming like the phone. We never have to do an ROI for the phone system or our bathrooms or the website. We just know that it's a business necessity. However, if you can sprinkle in a little ROI, it's going to help your case. We'll get to that in a second. Cost benefits. What's it going to cost to redesign? What are the benefits to the organization? What are the problems it's going to solve? Any ROI measurement? And also, what are the opportunities created? What is it going to look like, our business working environment internally online with the intranet, if we improve what we have today? It starts with assessment, identifying the problems and the needs of the organization, undertaking a gap analysis. What do we have today? What do we want in the future? What do we need to get there? Business requirements. What does senior management want and expect of us as an organization? From a communications standpoint, from a business process standpoint, what do they expect the intranet to accomplish to address communications, collaborations, business process drivers? And then the end user. You need to find a happy marriage between what senior management wants, what general management wants, and what the end user wants. User research, focus groups, surveys, usability testing, interviews, panels, benchmarking where necessary. What are the other companies doing out there in our field or our industry? Or what does a best practice intranet look like if it's not part of our industry, like a Cisco or an IBM or an HP, for example? Business requirements interviews, management interviews. We like to undertake about 6 to 8, 10 interviews. We even do online questionnaires that precede these. And we find out what people think in management of the intranet today and what they want it to be in the future. Write up lots of notes, build and weave the complete picture and summarize it. You'll see lots of trends and themes. Once you talk to 6 or 8 or 10 management and executives, you'll know exactly where you need to go with your intranet. And it's going to likely echo what the users say, although the users won't get into as much detail because they don't see the behind-the-scenes operation of an intranet in terms of governance and content management and the technology. But you need to talk to them too and ask them, what do they want? What do they like? What's working well today? what isn't. In our average survey, we do about 20 questions. Most of them multiple choice, but we have some open text as well, so that we have a combination of qualitative and quantitative questions, and then therefore data by which we can, again, build that complete picture about how is the Intranet used and perceived today, and how does it need to improve as part of the redesign. Here's a sample question. How would you rate the Internet with respect to the following on a scale of 1 to 5, or a scale of 1 to 6, or a scale of 1 to 10? I personally like the scale of 1 to 10. A lot of statisticians will tell you don't go 1 to 10 because there's no exact middle. 5 is not an exact middle. 6 is not an exact middle. But we all are familiar with a 1 to 10 scale. We're more familiar with that than anything, and it's actually more precise, because 1 to 5, it's a little too vague. It may not be a 5, but it's better than a 4, for example. In other words, a 9. Not that any of you have a 9 out of 10 Intranet. In fact, I'm not sure that I've ever seen one, although IBM comes pretty close, I think. So 1 to 10 is a good scale, or alternatively 1 to 5 is a second choice. But I really like 1 to 10, and users like 1 to 10 best as well. Here's how we break down the results, or a sample. You know, what type of social media tools are you using outside work? You see here, people are really using videos, they're using wikis, they're using Facebook, and they're using instant messaging. There's lots of ways to break down the analysis and the presentation of the data. We do bar graphs, we do scatter graphs. It all depends on what the client wants. The key here is, when you gather this data, make sure that it's easily readable and it's presented in a form, whether it's a pie chart or a bar chart or scatter graph or something else, in a format that your user, your target audience, your end executives, those making the decision on the redesign, will appreciate best. You need to play to what they want. That's what a business case is all about. It's a sales job. So know who you're selling to, target what they want and expect. Focus groups, we tend to do 2 to 6 per client when we do an Intranet redesign. 6 to 8 people in a focus group is the sweet spot. 8 people is kind of ideal. 10 to 12, too many. We tend to do about 90 minutes for the focus group, and we actually show, in addition to just question and answers, we actually show other intranets, and we get people to comment on them, leading intranets. What do you like? What don't you like? Score it on a scale of 1 to 10. Then we can get a little bit of quantitative and qualitative data with respect to actual design and design concepts to build into our redesign plan. Do we have a complete survey that we could share, someone asks. Talk to us offline. We don't do consulting for free, but send me a note or an email after the webinar, and we can provide you a little intelligence. We have this heuristic, strategic and heuristic site assessment that evaluates and scores over 400, 450 criteria with respect to an intranet over 6 main categories: design and layout, IA and usability, content and tools, planning and resources, and search. And we score each of those on a scale of 1 to 10. Different categories like content and planning and resources are weighted higher because they're more important to the end value of an intranet, particularly planning and resources. This talks about executive sponsorship, governance, content management, stuff that is really critical to the future success of an intranet. But we give it a quantitative score at the end of the day, overall score out of 10, so that you know in a moment, in half a second, exactly how good your intranet is. And this is particularly good for benchmarking, so you can benchmark against other intranets, but also for your gap analysis. We know where we want to go. Here's where we are today. We know where we need to focus our energy. Content is our worst. That's where we need to spend a lot of time. We need to have a really solid content management plan and the appropriate technology to support it, and people trained on writing and sharing content. So that our content is everything that it could and should be. Research and assessment is key to the intranet redesign process. You need to spend the necessary time finding out what executives, management, and the end user wants, and hopefully, if there's time, what the best practices are, what the leaders are doing, what a best practice leading intranet looks like, and how it works, to build into your plans before you undertake the actual design itself. There's no room for guessing here, folks. I'm sorry to say, the intranet, it's too tough to do. It's too tough to get right. In fact, with a crappy intranet, it's going to take you years to get to good or very good or excellent, because the design itself is only one small component, as we'll talk about when we get to the planning process. To get to a well-designed intranet like this requires a lot of work, a lot of assessment, and a lot of planning, a lot of technology, a lot of implementation, and a lot of adoption. And when you score it and you provide quantitative feedback, input, numbers, you can compare it to other intranets and find out exactly how far you are from them and how much you need to improve and what you need to improve. Someone has asked, what tool do you use to score the assessment with? It's a proprietary tool that I developed myself. It's Prescient's own. We only use it with our clients. So if you want more information, please do drop us a line and let us know. Your end business case, it's a combination of all of the above and some return on investment. Here's what the table of contents might look like. Here's a sample one. Here's what we need to do, key needs and benefits, ROI. Here's our plan from mission statement and objectives and goals to exactly what we're going to do. Here are the benefits from employee productivity and improved times and efficiencies to secondary benefits, and then the actual ROI measurements themselves. You don't need specific ROI measurements for a business case per se, but a good business case does have dollars and cents in it. For more on this, you can go and download the free white paper. It's on our website. It's more than 60 pages now. It's called Finding ROI. It was last updated actually in 2011. Don't mind the date on this. This was actually a previous version. We actually have a new version of this white paper coming out in the next 6 weeks, so watch for it as well. But in the meantime, lots of good stuff in the white paper, lots of great examples. Use it to your benefit, and feel free to steal from it for your own business case, just as long as you cite us, okay? As long as you cite me or the company.